Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rainboots.com. So I'm going to be sharing a hot glue version of the treasure gnome. You can get the pattern down below. As always, please like this video so I know you're here crafting with me. Now, this little guy is probably my favorite out of the treasure gnome just because I think the colors are perfect. I think the flower detail and this rough and rugged beard is great. I'd love to hear what you think of him down below. So I just cut out the pattern pieces from felt. This is the inexpensive felt from Joann's. It's not anything special. I'm using a gold fur. I'll put that link down below, and some Dollar Tree accoutrement with a 3/4 inch to a 1-inch wood ball for a nose. I'm going to be using some pins for the bottom, scissors, a hot glue gun, and an X-Acto knife for the beard. I'm going to be using some weight and stuffing. Now listen, if you want to use rice, use rice. If you sell, you need to disclose that you have a food product in there, even if you put it in a bag. I'm not your mom, but I would advise you not to use food products in your sales. But that's just me. All right, so we're putting right sides together using a very fine detail tip glue gun. If you use a big glue gun and you have really well, control, great. If not, get a detailed tip glue gun. This is the Surebonder detailed tip. And I get it on Amazon. I have like 3 of these as backups. I'm not kidding. I love this little glue gun. So we're just gonna make sure that all of this is set, and you're gonna set this to the side. For those of you who are normally here with me, you know I try to keep my videos very short. And the reason is because I don't want to sit around and watch a 27-minute video. However, I do have requests from people to do a craft along. So this video is a craft along. If you would like, you can go to your settings playback on YouTube and choose 2 times speed to speed this up and put my voice on mute. Listen to your favorite tunes or an Audible book or something. So this right here is probably the hardest part of this entire thing, making it with a glue gun. Circles for me are tragedy, just FYI. And you'll see where I mess up and also how to fix a mess up. But this part is the hardest part to me, like trying to get the even distribution against the edge, blah, blah, blah. So if you want to sew this pattern, I've already shared how I quickly assembled this with sewing. It takes like if it took me 27 minutes, it actually took me about 25. But if it takes me 25, it only takes me 15 to sew because I don't have to wait on the glue drying. I don't have to worry about being exact. If you want to learn how to sew, look in your area for classes or demos. If you are looking to buy a sewing machine, always look for a sewing machine and vacuum repair shop, because those guys and gals love to tinker, and sometimes you can get really good deals on refurbished, really nice sewing machines. Okay, so I'm going to turn the hat right side out using the curvy side of my scissors. Inevitably, I always get messages about, oh my goodness, I'd poke right through. Use a pencil eraser. Like, you don't have to use scissors. You don't have to live dangerously like I do. All right, so I'm gonna rub this between my fingers. Now, this is really important when you're hot gluing because the rubbing between your fingers is gonna let you A, check for any holes, and B, it's gonna help you set that seam a little tighter. In sewing, we control the tightness of the seam pretty easily, but with hot glue, it's an uneven distribution. So I've already turned out, oh no, I haven't turned out this one. Let's go ahead and turn out this one. There we go. And you're just going to be turning it out through the center you cut. For those of you wondering, this is the Treasure Gnome pattern made by moi, and you can get it at the link below. I always share multiple inspirations for my patterns. I'm never going to make you buy a single pattern for a single gnome. I think I'm not commenting on what other people do, but for me, that's ridiculous. You can use the same gnome gnome pattern, and I want to give you a ton of options and a ton of inspiration. So after we get the sides, you can see I have some glue showing here. I don't want it, so I'm just going to use the little tip of the glue gun to melt that glue. And then I'm going to squeeze those two together, sort of rolling the top edges inward. I don't know how to explain that. I tried to zoom in to show you, but it's kind of hard to explain, but it's basically just evening out all those crunchy parts and anything that's showing glue. So now for the body. Okay. I know this is weird, but trust me, we're just going to start by anchoring our piece. Make sure the right side of the fabric is facing inward, and you're just going to anchor your little piece right here on the seam. Just a teeny tiny amount of glue. Now you will let that set. Do not move on. Just count to 10 or 15 or whatever you want, but make sure it is set. You're going to squish this flat, and you're going to make the little base into a taco. Oh, it's Tuesday. I could have Taco Tuesday. Anyway, okay, so you're going to squish these two flat and just marry up where the two of them are both flat. That's it. That's it. Now, I got asked, can I use felt with this? Girl, I have no idea. Try it. I'm really not sure because I've only designed these things for felt or for fleece. The reason I designed them for fleece is because it's cheap, comes in a ton of different colors, and for those of us who can mass produce, we can make a whole bunch of fall gnomes with a half a yard or so. So this is a part that kind of trips people up. So you can see I am not stretching anything. I am simply moving the fabric around so we sit flat. You see how that part is raised? Now watch. It all sits flat and everything will come together. Because what we're doing is we're creating a nice rounded bottom so the ugly bottom is hidden. So if you want a tip, here's one. Only do the front first. So get that front all nice and pretty, especially if you're cutting up a short beard. If you want the bumpy part on the front, do that bumpy part first, whatever makes your heart happy. But basically this is going to be like a nice even piece in the center in case you have a tendency to glob up the glue like I do sometimes. All right, so now I'm just going to glue this piece in here again. See how it's all sitting flat? Ready? There we go. And I'm not stretching it horizontally. Now that I just moved my whole table, I'm not stretching it horizontally. The pattern does tell you to cut on a horizontal, it'll walk you through all of that in the pattern, but I'm not yanking it apart. It's just moving the fabric of the body down so that you'll get this nice bit of bump out. I do not like any patterns that require me to cut cardboard or anything that could disintegrate. If you like to charge a lot for your gnomes, like if you're just making an $8 gnome, like make your heart happy, right? Use a pool noodle. But if you're wanting to charge what I charge, I try and make it so that it's gonna be good for storage. It's gonna come out without any, disintegration or color transfer or anything like that. So it's whatever makes your heart happy. If you're making these for yourself, and you're just making them for one season, you don't have to take a lot of time. I had a hole in that because I did a bad glue job, so I just ripped it apart. Because literally that is the benefit of using fleece. You can't tell that you've ripped it apart. You're going to be able to put it back together without issue. Okay, so now, I gotta push that part flat. There you go. So watch yourself. There you go. Glued my finger in there. All right, we got a couple little tiny little openings there. Oh, no, we didn't. Apparently that was already glued. Okay. So as you can see, I'm just going all the way around. Easy peasy. See, but look, you see my uneven glue application? I'm so bad. There's like a huge glob over to the left and then like barely any in the middle. And that's honestly, it's so much faster for me to sew these, and that just works out for me that way. Again, if you're a master at glue, good for you. Give us a tutorial. How do we make it? Oh, by the way, I got asked again about that glue pen. Hate that thing. I'm not even kidding. I think I'm going to keep it just to use for different projects, like some of my, I don't know yet. I don't know. I just don't like it. It's a very weird thing to have in your hand. And if you have arthritis, absolutely try it. But I don't know. It was weird to me. Okay, now I'm going to stop talking about glue guns. We're going to use a little bit of that stuffing and we're going to shove it into the hook. Now, the really only big portion that matters is the hook, because you're going to want to make sure that you get it stuffed to where it is very full. It's tight. It doesn't move, it doesn't bend, it doesn't squish. The reason we're doing this is because when you test your shipping, you want to make sure that your hook, like the cutest portion of this little hat pattern, doesn't get squished in transit. So we definitely want to put quite a bit of stuffing up there. It will also cover some sins if you are bad at the glue gun, like me. Again, you don't have to use your scissors to do that if it gives you anxiety. I'm just pushing down the little pumpy part that I have up there and putting in a little more stuffing in that area so I can round it out. Now, I have a tendency to overstuff, which you'll see, because we will be using the top of the body portion. We make it a little bit stiff and a little bit structured, and then we will be using that top of that body portion as some stuffing as well. All right, so now I've got this thing pretty tight. I mean, I'm like squishing it so you can see it's bouncing back to its original size. That's what we want. By the way, this brown is really pretty. It doesn't come across on the camera, but it's looking really dark on this camera, but it's not very dark. I really do like it. It's from Joann's. Again, I am not a connoisseur of fabrics, y'all. Do I have a lot of fabrics? Yes. So I should probably start making some projects with my cotton. I have a ton of cotton. I have an addiction to buying cute fat quarters. I don't know. Is anybody, let me know down below if you have an immense amount of fabric and I don't know. Ooh, let me know down below what you would use an immense amount of cotton fabric for. Oh, and don't say quilting. I'm really not good at that. Okay, so now that we've got the hat piece on, again, half the triangles are up, half the triangles are down. You can see, we see this nice little bump out to the hat. That's where we want our hat placed. Now it's time for the body. You're just gonna turn it out outside, right sides out after checking the base and the back for any holes or pull parts or anything. I tend to black it on the table. I'm going to run the bottom seam through my fingers, and I'm also going to pop out the little bump out seam. So I got asked, can I turn this around and have his belly sticking out? Yes, you absolutely can. You can have the seam in front and have a big belly with a nice smooth back portion. I got quite violent with that banging on the table. All right, there you go. I'm just gonna pop that out to make sure it's got a little booty or belly. Now I'm going to use a funnel because you'll see I'm bad at this either way, but I'm just going to pop in a bit of polyfill. These are, or poly pellets. These are the weight that I use. Now I'm going to smack it down on the table as I do. And then I'm just going to make sure to fill out so that the bottom is a bumpy. So now you can see I'm there with regard to my pellets. So not very many pellets at all because it's not a very big gnome. It's under about 7 inches. This size gnome seems to be selling well. If you have a different one in your area selling well, but you can usually get a good price for this size gnome, and people love it because it's small enough they can put it on tiered trays or inside of bookcases, and you can easily ship it. I get a lot of questions on shipping. Use Pirate Ship if you can. Etsy's rates, if you're selling on Etsy, sometimes you can get better rates through Pirate Ship. Sometimes it's easier just to ship it through Etsy, through the USPS. Just, give both a try and see what works for you. All right, so I've stuffed this now, making sure that I have some around the outside just so that I can make sure. If you're using a really, really thin fleece, you may want to outline the poly pellets with some polyfill, but if not, drop test, we're good. Make sure we got this nice little curve at the bottom and the curve at the back, right down into the bottom. Again, I like it where the seam of the bottom is hidden. I don't want to use cardboard or anything like that. And the best part is you can do your drop test with this and everything always lands the right way. All right, so I'm just going to glue up the little back part. Wow, I can't speak today. I'm sorry, I'm fumbling my way through this. And then I'm going to close up this portion here. I'm going to bend down this section right here at the top. And you're going to hold this for 30 or 40 seconds, just whatever, you want, but you have to make sure this is solid. For those of you who are sewing, keep your sewing machine out and just sew right across that. It takes 5 seconds. Do make sure that you start and reverse your stitches to lock those in. Now that that is solid, look how cute it is. It's so cute. Look, I can tell you right now, I stuffed that too thick, but you see how these little triangles are out at the bottom and there's some out at the top. Look, I was so optimistic that I had the right amount. I've made 9 of these so far, 9. And every single time I have to remove stuffing because I'm an overstuffer. And what happens is if it pops back up like this, when you let go of it, you need to take some stuffing out. There we go. So we're going to pop it out. Now, I got a question was really fun. Can I leave the hat flat? Absolutely you can. However, I think if you pull down the back of the hat, including the brim, which I'll show you in this design, if you pull down the back of the hat, it really opens up the front. There's a lot of people who love the faux fur, right? They touch the faux fur, they boop the nose, and we want to give them the opportunity to do so. So this is the front. I'm just going to make sure that is where I want it. That's the sort of more important piece. And now the back, you can see I'm pulling it down just barely. Sorry, I had to swap out my glue gun stick. But I'm pulling it back just barely because I do want it to kind of curve down at the bottom. After I take the hot glue off my fingernail, I'm going to glue down the sides. I also had a question on maybe it was the summer gnome. Can I add arms? Yes, you can. Two little rectangles of fleece and some balls glued in the end. You can add pipe cleaner or wire to make them bend. I just like this guy without arms, but you can add them very, very easily. So now I'm pulling down the actual hat brim, and this is, basically just being pulled with those triangles. I'm going to tilt the hat up, as I mentioned, and pull the back down. But first, my favorite part, this is some fur. I got this on Etsy. I will put the link down below. It's kind of a goldish color. Love it. If you're new here, put the faux fur pile, which will be the fur, how the fur hangs, put that facing down. I measure via fingers, but for those of you who like to measure via like real measurement tools, it's about 5 inches. For a half wrap beard, you can do a much shorter beard, a much smaller or thinner beard. You can go all the way around, whatever makes your heart happy. Today I'm doing 5 inches. So I do want my beard to hang down a little bit, but if you do not, you have to cut it higher because the fur hangs off the actual fabric backing. As you can see, I'm using the X-Acto knife to cut the fabric backing only. You don't have to push very hard. All you're doing is just cutting the actual fabric and not through to the faux fur. I'm doing about a 3/4 inch drop. You don't have to, but I do like the way it looks. I'm going to glue down I'm going to take that out. I'm going to glue down the top edge. And the reason I'm doing this is because, again, I want this to look seamless. I want to look like the hat, the fur is coming out of the hat. So I'm just going to glue this portion down in the front or at the top. And you don't have to do it so much detail like I do. Goodness gracious, Sarah. That was fine. It was fine. You don't have to do that. But now that we've made doubly sure it's not going to go anywhere, I'm going to just brush this out because I had some knots in it. I store my faux fur horribly. I literally just bunch it up and throw it in bins or stack it up on my floor in my craft room. Don't look to me for organizational tips. All right, so now we're just going to put what could be described as an obscene amount of hot glue on the back of this and glue it on. And because I don't edit out any mistakes, you're going to see me make a mistake. And, as embarrassing as it is, I make them. Bloop, just touch the I touched the brim with the fur with glue on it. So don't do that. You can see right there. And it's okay because we're gluing down the sides after we glue down the back, but my bad. Whoops. So I'm just going to go ahead, take that off, put it on the actual body, and then glue this down. There we go. Make sure you don't get any hot glue in the fur. And then we can go ahead and make sure this side is down. I mean, you could also take the time to not do it all at once. Perfectionists. But yeah, it's not me. All right, so now I'm just making sure I like the brim where I like it, because now I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue there. Make sure I find the center. I'm going to split the faux fur to the fabric backing. I'm just going to grab a lot of hot glue and the wood ball and pop that on. Now, in just a second, you'll see I make another mistake, but again, I'm going to show you. See how the glue kind of seeped out at the bottom of the nose? I know it was fast. You can go rewind it, but that's not great. So what I'm going to do is fix that in just a hot second. All right, so I'm just letting that nose set without touching anything else. Sarah, All right, so now I'm going to actually put this and pull this down in the back to where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these little tabs down. This just allows it to have a little bit more stability. When I was testing this pattern, when I just glued the brim of the hat down, over time and with brute force, that hot glue failed. But I found with the actual additional triangles glued down, it's a little bit more sturdy. So I do recommend it. Again, real time, I'm holding this for exactly that long. All right, now I'm gonna do the front. So I'm gonna go behind the nose a little bit and put right up there, and we're just gonna hold that down. Now, there you can see at the bottom of the nose, you see how it's kind of gloppy because, yeah, I moved the wood bead when I was putting it on the nose, or when I was putting on the nose. So we're gonna fix that too. All right, look how cute you are. Now I'm gonna glue the sides of the actual hat down and that bit of fur that I also got glue on. Let's do this side. Again, we're just covering up our mistake. My mistake. I don't want to put my mistakes on you. This was all me. All right. So let's go ahead and fix that because it's bothering me. Right here, I'm going to add glue, which I know is counterintuitive, but watch. If you add glue and you press this up, oh, I love the way it looks. I may start doing this on all of them. After I did this, I was like, doesn't that make him look cutie? Okay, so I don't know why I play a lot, y'all. Okay, so I poked that in, so I'm just gonna glue it down to where I don't poke it in again. See, this is the difference between sewing and gluing. Sewing, you can actually warp that hat. You can do a lot of stuff with a top stitch. We can't really do a top stitch with hot glue, but all right, so now I'm going to glue down the triangles. Again, you're just gluing down the bottom of the triangle and not the top. You can glue down the top. Who am I to tell you what to do? I'm just suggesting you only glue down the bottom of the triangle because I'm going to cut the top of the triangle off. But again, just me. See, I keep denting the back with my hand. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, okay. Well, you can't see it, but I promise you, it's easy to pull out, but you know, that's the difference. I'm going to get some sharp scissors that are much too big for this project. Move my desk back. I keep moving my desk because I mop my floor in my craft room. We have hardwood floors all through our house. And now that I put like this crazy Bona mopping stuff on it, it just slides. This is from the Dollar Tree. I just showed you the tag to prove that it was from the Dollar Tree. I was so impressed with these little flowers from the Dollar Tree. I wish I would have bought more because I thought they're really a pretty flower. They have a lot of variegation in the color and they have really pretty leaves. So I don't know why I put that one on there. I mean, apparently I've used these before. So we're just going to steal these leaves off of this because I don't know if I like them better. I think the berries are going to be a little too much. So, yes, those are too big, so we're not going to use those. But I like this side. I mean, I really do. Some of the florals at Dollar Tree, just walk through there. It's a hot mess. My Dollar Tree here in Texas, the one that's closest to me, the florals, there's no rhyme or reason. It's literally just shoved in together. And like, there's no color coordination. I'm sure at the fancy Dollar Tree it's like they're in a rainbow or something. Mine is a tragic mess. So I just basically just move the flowers around to find the good ones. All right, so I had to cut off all these, which is probably the funnest part because does anybody else pretend like you're in a game and you're like, I wonder how far I can shoot these little things I'm cutting off? No, just me? Okay. So here I'm just looking to see if I like this design. I do. I know the little plasticky things are weird, but when they're hidden behind stuff, I think they really work. I do. That Dollar Tree kind of knows what it's doing. Okay, so now I'm just gonna cut off all these little plasticky pieces and launch them across my craft room and assemble this. If you still have fingerprints, do use something other than your fingers to press this stuff in because it's not very expensive, it's not very thick, and it will burn you through the hot glue like I just did there. Okay, now we're just going to repeat this. So in other versions of this and in the pattern, I have shown variations on what you can do. So you can do an entire brim of flowers or extras or whatever. I also have a baseball one coming where I just used a little, trinket I found at the craft store in the doll section. You can use anything you want to decorate these: ribbons, extra pieces of felt or fleece, any kind of holiday decoration. Can be any holiday. Buttons are really good for hats as well. The cutesy little kitschy, turkey button or, whatever. But I think he's cute. What do you think? I'm going to keep going with regard to the, add a stick, add a leaf, add a flower. Yo. I also got asked a lot if you can paint your own fur. So I have a very popular painting fur video on my YouTube channel here. Yes, you can paint your own fur. However, not all methods are created equal. If you're selling, I actually advise people not to paint your own fur if you're selling, unless it's something very light and you've tested that it does not transfer. Transfer is a huge problem when we're working with really deep alcohol inks or really vibrant paints. However, if you wanted to add little accents or, spikes of color through, pops of color through a faux fur, I also have how to piece together faux fur where you can create little circles or stars or hearts or whatever you want inside the beard. So do look on the channel for that. All right, so once we have all of these down, I am going to glue some of this into place because I kind of just want to make sure it stays. If you had some pretty little fall colored jewels, you could pop in 1 or 2 jewels inside the flower and it would look so cute, give it a nice little bit of shine. But I think this golden beard is literally the prettiest color. And I just think it really pops. But I would like to know what you think. Let me know down below. I just love this little guy. I'm really excited to be decorating for fall this year. In Texas, it won't come until November, but that is it for me today. Down below, I'm going to put the pattern for the treasure gnome, and I'd love to hear what you think about it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more crafty fun.